My name is Luke Sandwell. I'm 62. I built my life with oil-stained hands, a torque wrench, and blind faith. For 40 years, I gave the world machines that wouldn't quit and a marriage that should have. Bentonville used to feel like home. Lately, it's a cage I helped weld shut. Janine, my wife, still smiles with her whole face. That's what fools you. You don't see the blade behind the grin. She says she's off to Bible study again. I nod. Same script, different week. People say when you suspect something's wrong in a marriage, it's already too late. I didn't want to believe that. But lately, every drawer she shuts too quickly, every text she won't read in front of me, started sounding like static, familiar, dangerous. So I did something I'd never done. I lied. I'm headed to Dallas. Alicia needs help with the garage door, I told her. She hugged me with both arms. Too tight, too long. Like a farewell or a test I didn't know I was already failing. I didn't go to Dallas. Instead, I booked room 2 wait at the Oak Creek Motel off Highway 71. Dusty curtains, stale coffee, but perfect line of sight to my own street. My truck stayed parked out front of the house till sundown. That's when I slipped behind the wheel of a borrowed SUV and pulled into the dark across from home. Headlights off. Janine's silhouette appeared in the kitchen window. Alone, pouring wine. Glasses, too. 10 minutes later, a black sedan eased into our driveway. The man who stepped out wasn't a stranger. Harlan Reese. Best man at my wedding. Godfather to my only daughter. 6'2" betrayal in polished loafers. They didn't waste time. One kiss, slow and practiced, like it had happened 100 times before. Her hands on his chest, his on her waist, wine glasses clinking. I didn't blink. I pressed record. My thumb trembled over the screen, but I got every second. You trust too easy, my brother once told me, and that's gonna burn. You when you're old and slow. Guess what, Silas? I'm old now, but I'm not slow. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. No caller ID. I opened it. If you're watching, it's already too late. I jerked up in the seat, checked my mirrors, rear view, side, nothing. But I swear something moved by the mailbox. I stepped out of the car. Asphalt under boots. Cold air biting my face. Wind blew. Just wind. Or not. Across the street, the front porch light blinked once. Then off. Someone knew I was here. I got in. Peeled off down the road. Back to the motel. Breathing through clenched teeth. In the rear view, my house shrank. Dark. Quiet. My life was a lie, wrapped in curtains and soft lighting, and I had the video proof. I left to test her loyalty, but what I uncovered was a goddamn conspiracy. Sleep didn't come. I lay on the motel bed staring at the ceiling fan as it chopped the air into pieces. Every rotation sounded like a countdown. Somewhere between midnight and morning, I realized something simple and terrifying. Affairs hide in shadows. Plans don't. At 5:12 a.m., I was back in my truck. Cut. Coffee. Bitter. Burned. Cut. Laptop open on the passenger seat. I replayed the video once, not twice. You don't keep touching a blade just to prove it's sharp. By 7, Janine texted. Made it safe? Drive careful. I didn't reply. People think betrayal explodes. It doesn't. It leaks. Slow. Silent. Until the floor caves in. I drove past the house once. Normal. Too normal. Curtains drawn, trash cans out. A life pretending nothing happened. I parked 3 blocks down and walked back like a stranger casing his own crime scene. Front door locked, garage keypad smudged. Not my fingerprints. Inside, everything smelled wrong. Citrus cleaner layered over something. Sour. Panic does that. It overcleans. Cut. Office drawer. Locked. Janine never locked drawers. I didn't force it. That's how amateurs get caught. Instead, I took my time, pulled the filing cabinet, bottom folder, tax returns, mortgage statements, insurance. Then I saw it. A notarized document. Arkansas property transfer, limited liability company I didn't recognize. My name typed clean at the bottom. My signature. Perfect. Too perfect. I stood there, breathing through my nose, counting. Someone once told me that anger clouds judgment, but silence sharpens it. I chose silence. Cut. County clerk's office. Public records terminal. Fluorescent lights buzzing like they knew something. Search results popped up one by one. LLC filings, asset transfers. My workshop listed as collateral. The house reclassified as marital property under a revised agreement dated 6 months ago. 6 months. I'd been sleeping next to a hostile takeover. Cut. Phone call. Harlan. "Hey, brother," he said, voice easy. "You make it to Dallas?" "Almost," I said. "Just had a question. You ever hear of Sandwell Advanced Holdings?" Pause. Half a beat too long. "Can't say I have." Lie. I ended the call. My hands didn't shake. That scared me more than if they had. Cut. Self-storage facility off Rainbow Curve Road. Janine's car was there. White SUV. Church bumper sticker crooked. I waited. She came out 20 minutes later, empty-handed. Calm. Too calm. I counted to 60. Then I went in. Unit 317. Padlock. New. Combination type. I didn't break it. Again, law matters. Reality matters. Instead, I used the emergency contact number listed on the lease board. Mine. She'd used my name. I verified ID. Signed. Opened the unit. Inside, a fireproof safe bolted to the concrete. Clean. Professional. I smiled without humor. If you want to hide something, my old mentor used to say, hide it where people assume you're too honest to look. The safe took time. That's tension. Time is always the enemy. Inside were 4 things: a contract, a folded blueprint, a vial of prescription medication with my name misspelled, and a flash drive. I didn't touch the vial. I pocketed the drive. Cut. Car horn outside. Someone too close. I shut the unit, locked it, walked away like nothing mattered, but everything did. Back at the motel, I plugged the drive in. Folders bloomed across the screen. Surveillance stills. Dates. Times. My house. My garage. Angles I didn't recognize. Someone had been watching me. Not just once. For months. I leaned back, chest tight. A thought surfaced, cold and clear. If someone controls what you own, they control where you stand. Another file opened. Bank statements. Accounts I'd never opened. Transfers staged. Legal clean. All roads leading away from me. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Stop digging. I stood and went to the window. Parking lot empty. 1. Car idling across the street. Engine running. No driver visible. "You don't threaten a man unless you're afraid of what he'll find," I muttered. I shut the curtains. On the desk, the blueprint stared back at me. A structure I didn't recognize. Rural coordinates. A cabin off-grid. I felt the pieces click. Not all of them. Enough. This wasn't about sex. It was about removal. Erase the man. Keep the assets. Rewrite the story. A voice echoed in my head, something I'd learned the hard way. When the truth scares powerful people, they don't argue. They erase. I shut down the laptop, packed fast. Before leaving, I checked the door twice, then a third time. As I stepped into the hallway, I smelled cologne. Not mine. Not fresh. Lingering. Someone had been there, and I finally understood the shape of it. This wasn't just betrayal, it was premeditated erasure. I didn't go back to the motel. That's rule 1 when you know you're being watched. Never repeat a pattern. I drove straight to the workshop. My workshop. A squat concrete building on the edge of town, tucked behind a tire distributor and an abandoned car wash. No cameras, no neighbors. The place where I'd built engines that survived hell and men who didn't. Night had already swallowed the sky. Cut. I killed the headlights 2 blocks out, coasted in. Engine off. Silence so thick it pressed against my ears. The air smelled like oil and rust. Comforting. Honest. I unlocked the side door, stepped inside. Dark. I didn't flip the switch. That's rule 2. Light makes you visible. I moved by memory. Tool benches, lift arms, pegboard of wrenches hanging like bones. I crossed to the office corner, crouched, pulled the floor mat back. The loose panel was still there. So was the dust. Undisturbed. Good. I slid the panel aside. Nothing. My gut tightened. I stood. That's when the sound came. A shoe scuff. Behind me. I turned. Too late. Impact exploded at the side of my head. White noise. I staggered, grabbed the lift arm to stay upright. "Easy, old man," a voice said. Young, breathing hard. "This doesn't have to go bad." I swung blind. Metal rang. A grunt. The shadow crashed into a tool cart. Wrenches clattered across the floor like gunfire. I went down on one knee. Pain flared. I tasted blood. People forget something about men my age. We don't move fast, but we hit heavy. He rushed me. I grabbed the first thing my hand closed around, a breaker bar. I drove it into his ribs. Air left his body in a wet gasp. He stumbled back, mask slipping. I saw his face. Travis, Harlan's nephew, 25. Grease under his nails. Eyes too sharp for someone who played dumb. "You," I said. He lunged again. I sidestepped, hooked his ankle. He went down hard. I was on him in a second. Breaker bar at his throat. "Who sent you?" I said. He laughed. A broken sound. "You already know." "No," I said. "I want to hear it." He swallowed. Adam's apple jumping. "They said you were poking around, that you needed a scare." "They?" A pause. That told me everything. "Talk," I said, pressing harder. "Harlan," he said quickly. And your wife. She said you wouldn't listen otherwise." There it was. Betrayal doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers your name. I stepped back. He sucked in air like a drowning man. "She promised me money," he said. "Said this would be quick, that you'd back off." "Money from where?" I asked. He shook his head. "Didn't say. Just told me to make sure you got the message." I bent down, picked up his phone. Burner. No contacts saved. "Messages?" I asked. He hesitated. That's when I punched him. Not hard. Just enough. "Okay," he choked. "Okay, it's in there. But I swear, I don't know the whole thing." I believed him. That scared me more than if I hadn't. I stood, pocketed the phone. "Get out," I said. "If I see you again, it won't be with words." He didn't argue. Stumbled to his feet. Ran, cut. I locked the door. Sat on the workbench. Hands shaking now that the danger had passed. I opened the burner. Messages popped up. Encrypted app. One thread. Make sure he understands. He's not supposed to fight back. If he doesn't stop, escalate. No names. But the tone was familiar. Cold. Precise. Like someone who'd already planned the ending. I remembered something my father once told me while rebuilding a transmission. When people stop seeing you as human, they start seeing you as a problem. I wiped blood from my lip, stared at my reflection in the dark window. A problem. Good. Outside, a car passed. Slow. Too slow. Headlights swept the garage door. I killed the lights. Held my breath. The car moved on. Maybe. I grabbed my jacket, slung the breaker bar into my bag, kept the burner phone in my pocket. The workshop wasn't safe anymore. Neither was the house. Neither was I. But clarity does something strange. It steadies you. Another thought surfaced, sharp and calm. When they try to scare you instead of killing you, it means they still need something from you. I stepped out into the night, locked the door behind me. They thought I'd go quietly. Now I was wide awake. I didn't sleep. I decrypted the flash drive at a diner off Route 102, the kind with cracked vinyl booths and waitresses who didn't ask questions. Coffee kept coming. So did files. Cut. Folders open like veins. Dates, times, GPS coordinates, surveillance stills. Grainy. Black and white. My house, my garage, my driveway. Angles I didn't recognize. Corners that shouldn't exist. Someone had mapped my life. I scrolled faster. Accounts. Shell LLCs, wire transfers staged clean through domestic banks, legal, layered, patient, no smash and grab. This was a slow bleed. A thought hit me hard and clean. Real predators don't rush. They wait until you don't matter anymore. One file pulsed on screen. Property 47B. Coordinates, rural Ozark foothills. I paid the check in cash and left. Cut. Highway, trees blurring. The farther I drove, the worse the signal got. That's when the road narrowed. Gravel. Mud. A turn I almost missed. The cabin sat alone, half hidden by pines. No neighbors, no mailbox, no welcome. I parked a quarter mile out, walked in. The door wasn't locked. Inside, the air smelled like dust and electronics. A generator hummed somewhere, low, steady, like a heartbeat that wasn't mine. Cut. Main room. Bare. Table, chair. Laptop open. On the screen, my bedroom, live feed, Janine's side of the bed, empty, pillow smooth. The angle was intimate, wrong. I felt something crack behind my ribs. Privacy isn't taken all at once. A voice in my head said, it's peeled back until you forget what it felt like. I followed the cable, floorboard, loose. I pried it up. Photo. Old, glossy. A younger Janine, late 20s, laughing. Her arm wrapped around a man who wasn't Harlan. Different face. Same closeness. I flipped it over. A date. 15 years ago. Before Harlan. Before me noticing anything at all. Cut. A sound outside. Gravel crunching. I closed the laptop. Killed the generator. Darkness swallowed the room. Footsteps circled the cabin. Slow. Testing. I held my breath. Listened. A voice murmured. Too soft to hear the words. A flashlight beam slid across the window, then stopped. Seconds stretched. My pulse thudded loud enough to betray me. The light moved on. Engine, door, tires biting gravel. Gone. I waited another full minute, then another. Only when my lungs burned did I move. I grabbed the photo, slipped it into my jacket, left the cabin the way I came. No lights, no noise. Back in the truck, my hands shook for the first time that night. Not fear, recognition. This wasn't about me alone. I'd stepped into a pattern. Cut. Phone buzzed. Janine, we need to talk. I laughed once. Quiet. Sharp. People only want to talk when they think you're still listening. I thought. Another text followed. Harlan's worried. That one landed different. I typed nothing. Drove. Cut. Gas station. Fluorescent lights. Too bright. Too exposed. A man at the pump stared too. Long. Looked away when I met his eyes. I filled up anyway. As I capped the tank, a phrase surfaced, something I'd once said to a junior engineer who cut corners. If the design keeps repeating, you're not fixing the problem. You're feeding it. I sat in the truck, checked mirrors. Nothing. But the feeling stayed. Being tracked isn't about seeing someone. It's about knowing you're predictable. I wasn't anymore. Cut. Back on the road, I pieced it together. The timeline, the shell companies, the surveillance, the photo. Janine didn't stumble into Harlan. She collected him. Just like she'd collected me. Just like she'd planned my exit. Another thought settled in. Cold and final. Some people don't cheat to escape a marriage. They cheat to replace it. The road stretched dark ahead. No cars, no lights. I pressed the accelerator. Harlan wasn't her first, and he wouldn't be her last. I drove straight to the sheriff's office. Morning. Gray light. Dew still hanging on the windshield like sweat. I parked out front, engine idling. My hands hovered over the burner phone. Travis's messages still fresh in my head. I stepped inside. Cut. Small lobby. Scuffed tile. A flag. A desk. A deputy in his 20s. Eyes glued to a crossword puzzle. I need to speak with someone, I said. About a criminal conspiracy. Identity fraud. Property theft. Possibly more. The kid blinked. He asked for my name. I gave it. He told me to wait. 15 minutes later, Sheriff Nolan came out. He looked tired. Slick hair. Gold badge that caught too much light. We sat in a side office. I laid it out. Not everything. Just enough. The forged documents, the LLCs, the surveillance. He listened. Then he leaned back. You have any proof, Mr. Sandwell? I slid over the burner phone. I've got more, I said. Files, signatures. I just need a secure place to hand it over. He nodded slowly. Give me a day, he said. Let me run a few things. You'll hear from me. Cut. I left. Back in the truck. Exhaled. Checked the mirror. A black SUV idled 2 blocks away. Same make, same model. My gut nodded. Coincidence ends where patterns begin. I pulled out. Drove slow. The SUV followed. 2 rights, still behind me. 1 left, still there. I hit the gas. Cut. Speed. Curve. Dirt flying. The SUV surged forward. It wasn't bluffing. They wanted me off the road. I veered down a farm lane, tires screaming, branches whipping past. They stayed close. Too close. Adrenaline hit like a hammer. I saw the barn up ahead. I killed the lights, slammed the brakes, cut into the trees. The SUV skidded past, missed me. I watched them stop at the end of the road. Backup lights flashed. No time. I jumped from the truck, ran for the barn, door loose, rusted hinge. Inside, dark. Hay. Dust. Rot. I crouched behind an old tractor. Heart pounding. Footsteps outside. Doors slam. 2 men. Boots. Voices low. One said, check the barn. Cut. I grabbed a wrench from the floor, waited. The door creaked open, light stabbed in. A flashlight. It passed over the walls, the rafters, stopped on the back wall. Not on me. Not yet. I stayed still, sweat ran down my spine. Then phone buzzed. Too loud, too late. Flashlight whipped toward me. Back here. I sprang up, swung the wrench, connected. One down. The other came in fast. He tackled me. We hit the dirt. Fists. Elbows. Panic. I grabbed his wrist, bit down. He screamed. I shoved him off, grabbed the burner from my jacket, snapped a photo. His face. No mask this time. I ran, cut. Out the back, through the trees. No headlights. Just my breath and the rising sun. Back to the truck. Gone. The SUV, too. They'd taken it. Or torched it. I had nothing but the wrench and the burner. Cut. I walked 5 miles before I found a gas station. Paid cash for a bus ticket to Little Rock. Cut. Public library. Open Wi-Fi. I uploaded everything. The documents, the video, the burner phone messages, the face of the man in the barn. I sent it to 2 reporters, one attorney I knew in Memphis, one old friend I hadn't talked to in years. I didn't wait for a response. Cut. I cracked the burner's cloud sync, found a backup, emails encrypted, hidden under false app folders. I decrypted 3, each one signed with a single initial, J. But it wasn't Harlan, the tone, the directives, the cold logic. It was Janine. Harlan was a pawn. She was the architect. One email caught my breath. Make sure it looks like stress, age. He's always had heart trouble, hasn't he? I froze. People kill with guns. Some kill with poison. Others just build a plan tight enough that the law calls it fate. Cut. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She planned everything. Even Harlan's death. The ballroom smelled like money and flowers. Crystal chandeliers. White linen. Soft jazz bleeding through hidden speakers. Bentonville's elite dressed in charity smiles, pretending generosity wasn't just another transaction. Janine stood at the center of it all. Elegant. Calm. Untouchable. She wore red. The kind of red you choose when you want to be remembered. I watched from the edge of the room, blending in where no one ever looks. The shadows near the service doors. A borrowed suit. A mic taped under my collar. My phone live streaming to 3 journalists and 1 federal tip line. Someone once said the best way to reveal a lie is to let it speak for itself. I stepped forward. Cut. Applause faded as I reached the stage. Janine's eyes found mine. No surprise, just calculation. Ladies and gentlemen, I said into the mic, voice steady. Thank you for donating tonight. You're about to learn what your generosity almost paid for. A ripple moved through the room. Sheriff Nolan stood near the back, pale, jaw tight. Good. I tapped my phone. The screen behind me lit up. Video. Janine. Harlan kissing, laughing. Gasps. She didn't move. Then audio. Her voice. Cold. Precise. Make sure the signatures match exactly. If it looks voluntary, no one questions it. Murmurs turned sharp. I kept going. Emails, bank records, LLCs, dates. I watched faces shift as truth replaced comfort. Another thought surfaced, one I'd learned too late. People don't panic when they're guilty. They panic when they're exposed. Police radios crackled. Janine finally smiled, slow. You think this ends here? She said calmly into her mic. You think you won. The lights cut out. Darkness swallowed the room. Someone screamed. I felt a hand brush past my shoulder. Movement. Chaos. Emergency lights flickered on. Police surged in. Don't move. Janine stood exactly where she'd been. Hands clasped, serene. Sheriff. Nolan was in cuffs. So was Harlan, alive, shaking, dragged from a side door where he'd been hiding. The room buzzed like a hive kicked open. Janine turned to me. You always underestimated me, she said softly. That was your flaw. No, I said. My flaw was trusting the wrong person. Agent stepped forward. She didn't resist. As they led her away, she leaned close enough for only me to hear. You were never the target, she whispered. You were the access. They took her. Cut. 3 hours later, I sat alone on the courthouse steps. Dawn creeping in. Reporters shouting questions I didn't answer. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Nice try. Next time, aim higher. I stared at the screen, then deleted the message. Some battles don't end with arrests. They end with understanding. Cut. Weeks passed. Assets frozen. Accounts reversed. My name restored. But something else changed too. The house felt empty, clean, honest. I sold it. Kept the workshop. Went back to building things that made sense. Machines don't lie. People do. A phrase stayed with me, something I'd once believed only applied to blueprints. If you understand the structure, you understand the failure. I understood mine now. Love without boundaries is just another form of erasure. Trust without awareness is permission. And silence? Silence is how predators win. I still get watched sometimes. Or maybe I just notice more. Either way, I don't disappear anymore. I speak. I build. I choose. Because the most dangerous thing a man can lose isn't his money or his marriage or even his life. It's his voice. And once you take that back, no one ever erases you again.